Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome into the College Football Nightcap. We got a very special edition for tonight. I am on the road, actually, just now coming back home from New Orleans, Louisiana, where we had a great showing from the state championships. A great weekend on Thursday, Friday, and today. We had some good action. We really did. I mean, it was a lot of fun getting to watch a lot of great football. Yesterday's action was absolutely insane. Today, I wouldn't really say insane, but a lot of shocks. I will give you that, though. But before we go ahead and get started, guys, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Lucas_Hill23. Also, make sure that you look us up on every social media platform, Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok, wherever you get the College Football Nightcap. Guys, we are going to be going live up until around the 10 o'clock hour before I have to go into work, unfortunately. That's always fun and games. But no, for real, guys, seriously, it is an honor to get back here. I'm grateful to be back here with you guys once again. I know this week was absolutely insane. I think we only went live, twice this week? But I know I was very busy. We'll be back to normal schedule next week, depending on what we have going on. I know I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, so we'll definitely be doing a lot of streaming then. But guys, we still have a lot to talk about around the world of college football. But today we're going to focus on more of the high school level, especially in the state of Louisiana. I'll have Jace Lejeune and Grant Sachere come in at some point, potentially, hopefully. I would pray that they do. We shall see. But no, guys, this was such a great season that we got in Louisiana. I was able to cover a lot more high school football than I was originally planning. Guys, never in my mind did it come to fruition that I would actually be covering any sort of college football or any sort of high school football. I just never really showed that much interest. And now that I get done watching what I witnessed over the weekend, I just become so much more invested into it, and it makes it so much fun. Guys, you get to make connections with these kids, with these coaches. Like, the high school level is so much easier than the college and pro level because you can actually develop those relationships, and they show for it. And it's so cool to see that, especially with the high school level. So we'll definitely start expanding a bit more next year. We talk about the high school level, especially when we get going into some more action around college football and around the high school recruiting world. So we're definitely going to get into that. So, guys, I cannot wait to experience this thing with y'all. Really hyped for what's to come next year. We got bowl season underway. Got a lot of breaking news there. The Heisman Trophy. We'll recap that on Monday. But today I really want to focus on state championships that occurred over the weekend. So, guys, this is going to be one of those episodes where I'm mobile on my phone. I'm offline. I'm not at my laptop. I will be back at my laptop on Monday's edition of College Football Nightcap. We'll have a complete breakdown of everything. We'll talk everything from bowls to recapping the Heisman Trophy ceremony, the latest news with Marshall opting out of their bowl game because of a lack of players and what that means for the rest of the bowl schedule. Louisiana Tech gets to be bowl eligible. How about that for the Bulldogs? Potentially saving Sonny Cumbie's job for one more time. Really great job of what they were able to do this year, despite all the chaos and such. But hey, you have to give a lot of respect for that group and a lot of respect for what Louisiana Tech is building. I know that we talked with Sean Fox a couple of times throughout the season, and he mentioned it a lot, especially that he didn't really have a lot of confidence about this team. He really didn't. because of what you saw, because of what happened with that offense. That was supposed to be one of the most explosive offenses in the country, especially with a team like Louisiana Tech and the history they have behind them with Skip Holtz at the helm. But this was not their year. It's let's just make it obvious. And it sucks for a team like that. You wish they had some sort of more success than what they did this year. So I think next year you really got to go into the depth of that locker room and see who's going to be your emerging leaders, who's going to be your stars coming out of this locker room, who's going to be the dudes that you're going to have to rely on for the rest of this year. You have a lot more questions than answers going into next year. How long does Cumbie stay in Ruston? Because he's bound to have an expiration date. But regardless, guys, huge victory for a team like Louisiana Tech. They got lucky, but hey, better be lucky than good, I guess. So anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know what you guys' opinions are over what happened during this week. I know I've met a lot of guys that I've grown to have, that we eventually got some good relationships built, especially with that sports world. With guys like JB, the sports guy and company. I have a lot of respect for them. All the guys at Crescent City, guys like Grant Sashre, Jason Shern, just all those dudes that I've been able to develop relationships with, and guys that I got to meet over the weekend. These dudes are amazing. These dudes are great people. Got to meet up with Derry Beckwith, awesome guy. He's got a lot of ups, got a lot of stuff with him. Jarrett Roser, finally get to meet him, the owner of Louisiana versus All Y'all. Dude's that. Dude, he's good at what he does. So, want to give all those dudes a shout out. Shout out the Southeastern Channel for giving me and my colleague Kiwi Huggins the opportunity to cover these state championships. It was fun. I am excited for what next high school football season can bring, and I know it's going to be exciting. I was truly honored to cover my alum in the state championships. Like it truly was an honor. It was unbelievable what we got to see from this weekend, and it was unbelievable to see the growth of what this team was able to accomplish. So can't give enough props for what they did this year, and really excited for the future in this field of study. So apart from that, let's go ahead. Let's kind of get into a short little recap of what has all happened. Thursday's action, good games. Not really one that were head poppers to me. Not really ones that turned their heads for me. I will say this: Shaw getting their big state championship win. They've been on a tear recently. Went to the semis last year. This year was unfinished business, and they finally get it done. So, want to give them a shout out. Yesterday's action got insane. It really did. The first game that I got to be at, it was the Dunham. I covered 4 games. It was Dunham and Catholic New Iberia, and then Cecilia, and then Franklinton, and then I covered the 2 high school games today. Dude, that first game was a barn burner. Got to watch the number 1 player in the nation in Elijah Haven going up against a seasoned veteran in Luke Landry, and you saw the difference in Q play. Look, I love Haven. There's a reason why he's the number 1 player in the nation. He is a special kind of talent. The problem is he's still young. He's still got a ways to go to develop as a young player. He's got a lot of growth to do, and he will get there. But that day, it wasn't Neil Weiner and the Dunham Tigers' day, unfortunately. I have a lot of respect for Neil Weiner. Even at little whiles now, about 5, 10, close to 10 years now, actually, at the helm. But he has done wonders with that program. He's going to continue to do the same thing. and it's gonna be quite a turnaround for this team. Make no mistake about it. This Dunham team is going to be here to stay in Division III non-select. Make no mistake about it. But for Catholic New Iberia, what a road it was for them. Absolutely deserved this playoff run that they had. They had to go through a gauntlet. Team that hadn't won a playoff game ever. And then they make this unbelievable run this year. Great season all around. And then just an unbelievable season that Catholic New Iberia had. And to be able to close it off in the Superdome is nothing short of just remarkable with what this team has been able to do. Going on to the next game that we covered, the number 18 seed Cecilia Bulldogs facing the number 2 seeded Franklinton High Demons, or excuse me, not the number 2, the number 1 seed actually. This was a back and forth battle like we expected. We knew we were getting a dog fight. I didn't expect the type of game that we got there, though. That was an absolutely insane game that we watched. Really, it makes me proud that I got to cover a game like this because of what was going on throughout that game. There was so much drama that was involved. There really was. Celia jumps out to an early lead. Franklinton's run game, dude, it was back and forth and back and forth. Majority of that football game until Cecilia. Look, Franklinton leads with I think 4 minutes to go in the game. Boom. They try to go for it for a deep shot down the field. It gets picked off. Cecilia runs it back. They get into around the 40-yard line. They drive right down the field. Boom, touchdown. They take a 35-32 lead. And at one point during the game, Franklinton missed a 2-point conversion that could have put them in a pretty decent position to just get into field goal range and kick the field goal and win the football game. Franklinton goes right down the field, boom, gets inside the 30, and then very, very questionable call near the end. I know that there was a lot of people debating whether or not it was a fumble or not in the end zone, but the replay during day 2 was very questionable. I know a lot of media members I talked to said that there was a lot of talk about getting rid of video replay because it didn't help. And honestly, it didn't. I mean, if we're being honest with each other, video replay just hurt for both sides. Doesn't matter who's calling who's late. Dunham had a touchdown that was clearly a touchdown. Got a foot in bounds and everything. And they called it incomplete. Called him out of bounds. Very, very questionable calls throughout that football game. It sucked for both teams that the refs had to decide the outcome of both games. I'm hating that my freaking phone keeps falling. Hey, that's what we get, bro. But no, that we got 2 great games regardless. But it still kind of pisses me off that referees are deciding this football game instead of dudes playing their hearts out on the field because these kids poured everything. That was a damn good couple of games that we got. Absolutely damn good couple of games. Very impressive games that we got to see. And it truly was a great game. But for Cecilia, it was unfinished business. Went into the state championship last year and got knocked off by Opelousas and the great run that they had. And then this year, they had to go through a tough district. They had to beat Lutcher on the road, number 2 seed in the district, number 2 seed in the country, or in their bracket. That was supposed to be a state championship team. Me and Jason Sherman were calling a Lutcher and Edie White game. Edie White ended up in the Superdome. Lutcher didn't, and Lutcher beat the dog water out of Edie White. But no, guys, that was a fantastic game that we got to witness on Friday night. And today's action was just even crazier. So I get there at around 12:05, bam, or 12:10 actually. The game kicked off about 2 or 3 minutes before I got there, boom, it was already 7-0. First play from scrimmage, and Alexandria's quarterback threw an interception that was returned for a touchdown, so he threw a pick six. I mean, holy cow. And then that just basically set the tone for the entire game. Complete domination. John Johnson had a big game with over 300 yards combined in total offense. Had 4 turnovers, had 4 interceptions, but made up for it in the long run. Because then the car had this game won from start to finish. There was no way that Carr was going to lose that football game. Absolutely no way. Because that was an ass whipping that we got to see. Absolutely an ass whipping. But guys, that's and the Carr for you. That's who Carr has been, and that's who they will always be. They dominate from start to finish. They like to sling the rock down the field. They're going to do it. And they're going to say, hey, the only thing you can do is just try and stop us. And they didn't. They didn't. As good as that team is, as good as Alexandria is, as much talent as this team has put down on the field, they could not stop them. Guys, going to take a quick break. We'll be back here on the College Football Nightcap. All right, back at it. Back at it for some more action. I tried to go to the bathroom in this freaking Murphy station, but said it was wet. And they couldn't let people in. Kind of shocking. But anyway, guys, today's action was pretty insane. Ed and the Carr did their stuff, absolutely smoking Alexandria. And look, here's the thing. A lot of people expected. I expected it to happen. I knew it was going to happen. I knew that Ash was going to have a lot of trouble shutting down the skill receivers that Ash is and the Carr is well known for. They were going to have a lot of struggle being able to shut down the explosive play, and they did. So if anybody's surprised from that game is that Carr finished with 4 turnovers. That's really the only surprise that people should be worried about. But Apart from that, huge. Another big victory for Coach Bryce Brown and company. You know, that's a damn good team. That's a damn good car team that they play. And whether people like it or not, that is and always will be their mantra. Especially when it comes to beating people to sleep. So, hell of a win for Ed in the car. A lot of dudes about to go to the next level. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our final game that I covered. Central and the Ruston Bearcats. Guys, not a lot. Nobody gave Central a chance. Nobody. Nobody. I'm from the Central community. I know people that didn't even give them a chance. Didn't even give them a prayer. And they came out and beat Ruston's ass. Guys, Ruston has a rich tradition. Everybody knows if you cover high school football in the state of Louisiana, or at least have some basic knowledge of high school football in the state of Louisiana, you know about the Ruston Bearcats. You know about those dudes. You know about what they bring to the table. And Central came out and beat their ass. Plain and simple. Flat out, plain and simple. They beat their ass. And they didn't have a freaking prayer. So guys, look. If you're a Central alum, there's a lot of pride that you need to have. Knowing that this was a team that came together as a community. As a whole damn community, they came together. Boy, did they travel. I'll give them that. They traveled extremely well. All right, now that I'm done eating, I can actually focus. So apologies, ladies and gentlemen. But guys, this was such a big win for a team like Central. Not just because it's a state champion. It's the first one they've won since the 1960s. It's the first one that really proved a lot of doubters wrong because everybody still doubted Central. And look who they beat. You beat Cecilia, who won a state championship this year. You lost to a Catholic team that lost in the state semifinals. That was this close to beating Ed in the car. You beat Zachary. Finally, you got over the Zachary hump. I think if Central would have lost to Zachary this year, there still would have been question marks surrounding that team. There would have been even more damning question marks. And guys, for a team like Central, absolutely deserving of what they did this year. Absolutely no question in my mind how good this team was from start to finish. This was a team that started strong, they end strong, and they're a state champion. Absolutely proud of those young men. I know some of those dudes that are on that team. I know DK Mays. DK Mays talked to me earlier today when it was press conference. Said, "Hey man, you play DN?" I was like, "Yeah, bro." Like, man, you cut your hair. I was like, "Brother, when you're in the media, I was like, brother, when you transition it from one thing to another, sometimes you got to cut the locks off. I looked at my D line coach whenever I was in high school. I said, Coach, you deserve it. Like, I love every single one of my coaches whenever I was playing at Central. First time I talked with Coach Zach Morris, and God knows how long. I love Coach Morris. Coach Zach Morris had a great game plan together for that Central offense. They really broke out. Central's offense had a lot of question marks going into this one. Everybody thought that this was going to be a defensive ball game because of what Ruston's old school offense was, especially with pounding the rock, with a two-lane committed quarterback, and then seeing what they did on paper. Held to 90 yards of total offense. They got absolutely dominated from start to finish, and it's all credit to what David Semino and that squad has been able to do ever since he came there in January of 2023. There's a lot of high hopes for Central, and guys, this is only going to get better from here. I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be back on the College Football Nightcap. Well, I tell you what, this dang internet was about to mess me up, but let's bring in our good friend Jace Lejeune of Gridiron Football USA, making his debut on the College Football Nightcap. He's been featured on two of my other podcasts, Fourth and Forever, as well as SEC Unfiltered. Jace, we just got back from what was an exciting weekend out in New Orleans, Louisiana. Brother, how are you this fine evening? Glad you could come by and spend some time with us.
Oh yeah, I had to hang out with Lucas Hill, to win a state championship, right? Congratulations to the Central Wildcat, long time coming, first state championship, 1966. Even before my parents were even born, so it's been a while for Central. It's great to get the Wildcats state championship, and I know we'll talk a lot about it. And what was the most shocking state championship result from the weekend?
This was one that truly was unbelievable. Jace, I've been around the Central community for 20 years now, which is basically my lifetime. I've never seen them rally behind a team like this. And just everything that they were doing this season was just truly unbelievable. Everything that they did was just unfreaking real with what they were, how dominant they were throughout the season. All the hype that many people had about Ruston and the ground game and the many commits that they had. A Tulane committed running back at quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
talking about all the different pieces that they have on that offensive line, all the dominance that they have, the skill position, and they came out and they got their ass handed to
They did.
by a Central team that wasn't even supposed to be in this football game. A lot of media outlets did not think that this was going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
except for the Central sidelines and the Central coaches in the press box.
Yep, exactly. You said it right, Lucas. This team has been really good. They set a lot of history tonight, and as this defense has really carried the torch all year long. I know you know that, Lucas, following them. That's a reason why I actually had them in the state championship to begin with, and they weren't really a popular pick to even be there. A lot of people were picking the Neville Tigers to win, and for them to get in the state championship. There was a chance that they were going to win. It wasn't going to be out of proportion that they could win, but for them to win like they did tonight, nobody saw that coming. Especially Russin being the more of the heavy favorite, and because of what Central had a little bit of a lag offensively just the last couple of weeks of the season, and you thought that okay, Russin has a good defense, they play really strong, dominant themselves last state championship, or state champ. He thought Rustin, everybody pretty much besides, like you mentioned, besides Central, the Central fans, Central people against Central, um, that Rustin was going to win this football game, but nobody told Central that. Really dominated the football game, really both ways. I mean, we talk about Jackson Furman. There's a reason why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the state. He is a Nichols State signee, and he showed like it. He's always been a really good thrower of the football. He showed it tonight. He spreads the football to four different receivers as far as catching touchdowns tonight. He's been awesome. Keithon Womack, 6 catches, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns. Colin Thomas also had a touchdown. Stephen Rennell's a great two-way player, and Tyron Williams also had a touchdown reception. But to me, Jackson Furman was awesome. 233 yards, 5 touchdowns, Lucas. But really, the most impressive feat tonight was the defense. And I'm not sure if you got the stat or not, but this was the least amount of yards given up
Yep.
by any defense in a state championship game. I think the fewest was West Monroe gave like 108. But they only gave up 90 yards. I'm not talking about if you said that was a first half number, only 90 total yards in the first half. That's still pretty good. They gave up 90 yards the entire game. I mean, it was unbelievable. I knew the defense was going to be good. I thought Central's defense can keep them in the football game. I really love this defense. I just didn't think they would shut out this Ruston offense like they did, and yeah, they deserve it. And I tell you what, not only they're the state champions, Lucas, but they're the kings of Monroe because they defeated Neville last week. And they defeated Ruston, two of the biggest names in Monroe. and Central they deserve the state champions and championship. And right now, you look at it, you kind of look after all the state championship games are being over with. As far as our ranking is concerned, my final ranking, I have Central as no, I mean my number two team behind the card. I think the two top teams in the state play today, and one in run I guess like running clock victories today.
Yeah. Dude, that first game that we saw today, me and you were both on the field whenever all that went down. I come in about 10 minutes late. You looked at me and said, "Man, you missed a lot." And I look up at the scoreboard. I was like, "Okay, it's 7-0, and it's only 10 minutes left in the football game." And then about 4 minutes later, it was what, 21-0.
Yeah.
And that just shows you how explosive Endicott is. And me, you, Grant Sachere, and a lot of other media outlets were all talking, and we all came to an agreement that we thought that this was arguably the best high school football team that has been showcased in the state of Louisiana over the last 10 plus years, maybe even of all time.
Yeah, you can make a case for it, and it's crazy we talked about Ruffin. There's this team, and back in 1990, a lot of people were saying that's the greatest Louisiana football team. I've seen that. I've seen some really good Endicott teams. Seen some good Neville teams. Catholic. I've seen some good Catholic. KDN, you name it. But this Endicott, Zachary, but this Endicott football team this year, I've been covering Lucas maybe about 10 years. And it's crazy. I'm at 10 years. Like, I mean, that's insane. But yeah, I think this is the best high school football team, pound for pound, that I've ever seen. I mean, in terms of like, there's no weakness. John Johnson had this off game. He threw 4 picks. He had an off game, but he also scored 5 touchdowns and was the
Yeah.
MVP of the football game. He's really good. I mean, I called his game in the win in the semifinal game, Lucas. He was the difference. They beat Catholic 21-19. He was the difference in that football game. And he was the MVP tonight, but he has 3 Division I receivers on his team. He's got Teron Francis. He's the one that has all the headlines. He scored 2 touchdowns today. The LSU signee. But
And he only had, what, 2 targets today, huh?
targets him and really 2 touchdowns. I mean, that was about it, like you mentioned, Lucas. And you look at Oliver Mitchell. He barely gets targeted. He's a two-lane guy. He's a two-lane signing, and probably the most featured receiver is the Louisiana Tech guy, Dejon Smith. And I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches they have offensively. Then you look at the defensive side of the football, and JT Lindsey's a good running back. And people, I know a lot of LSU fans probably had their eyes on this game to see what JT Lindsey would do. But that was just a bad matchup going against that Endicott defensive line. In the middle of that defense, you got an LSU commit and Richard Anderson, who, I mean, you can't miss him. I mean, he's like 300 pounds, and he's probably the best. He's definitely the best defensive lineman I've seen from the high school level in person, as far as an interior defensive lineman. He's the best I've seen.
Have you seen Taji Hill before?
I've seen Taji Hill, but Taji's a good player.
Yeah.
I don't think he's this good. Richard Anderson dominated the football game, and Corey Adams is on the other side. He signed with Ole Miss, so and then you try to go to the outside. This defense is so fast. They're really good all 3 levels. Aiden Hall was the LSU commit for next year, class of 2026. He had a pick 6. That was the first touchdown to start the game. They can run the football, and boy, they're well coached. They're disciplined, well coached. Bryce Brown is an awesome coach, and people overlook that because of just how much talent there is on the football team. I'm not an X's and O's guy, Lucas, but I can figure out a way to win with this team. Trust me. But a lot of respect goes to Bryce Brown because every time I've seen him down in state championships and the car, I've seen them where they're losing, but he's always he's always just calm, has a calm demeanor on the sidelines. And you played football, Lucas. You know what it's like playing for a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on the sidelines, the team reacts to their head coach, right? And that's what the team does. That's why the team's so good, because they see Bryce Brown, their leader, calm as can be on the sidelines. That shows how much confidence he has in this group. and the team just goes out and plays.
Mm.
So you can definitely see that. There's been a reason why he's won 5 state championships, and I mean he's going to be a Hall of Fame coach. I mean he and it's crazy. I'm not sure anybody's going to catch JT Curtis
No.
with all the state championships, but there's a good chance that he's going to make quite a run and try to make it interesting. And there's one guy, I guess I could do it, or at least be kind of close. I mean, he could probably do it just because this program ain't going anywhere. If you see the second and third string team, I mean they can all play. I mean, this will be a quarterfinal, semifinal team. You put the third string out there. Be honest.
Yeah.
So like they are rolling right now, and the expectations. You were there at the press conference too. He said like, I mean, we're not trying to be cocky, we're not trying to be arrogant, but when we have this much talent, you expect to have this. You expect to have a running clock in the fourth quarter of the state championship game, and what happened? And you saw 2 of them today.
What Bryce Brown has done, he's been there since what, 16? Or was he there longer than that?
I believe he was on the sidelines. He actually played in the car, and that's a big reason why he's still there.
Yeah.
He got college offers to coach, but he wants to be there. I mean, in the documentary, if you go watch the in the car documentary, it is great, and you get a really good insight to why Bryce Brown, why he's not going anywhere, why
Yeah.
he does this, and why he's there for the kids, and he wants to make sure. No, I mean. Of course, he wants to win state championships. He wants to win football games. I mean, everybody does, right?
Yeah.
But he's in it for the kids, and he wants to make sure his kids get the best opportunities in life. And
Yeah.
for these kids, that escape is football, and he's doing the best he can to make sure those kids get that escape. And you've seen it; they're all in within the car, and yeah, I mean. Does an awesome job with that school. He really does, and they left no doubt on the table. Usually in other years, we've seen like man, I wish like St. Thomas More can play like Catholic or and the car or Zachary can play and the car Neville, whatever, right? They left no doubt. They are the best team in the state of Louisiana, pound for pound, and they deserve that title, and they definitely earned it. And to me, I guess it's more recency bias since I just saw this team play, and I got to go back and look at all the other teams I played because the Zachary teams you mentioned, the Catholic teams, and the cars, the other and the car teams. I would say this is the best high school team I've seen. Government first.
Yeah, I would say before we got into this decade, I would say 18 car was probably the best that got put on that field. I was actually at the state championship game when they played their rivals in Warren Easton, and that was just such an exciting game and really stuck up or really just started the run that Bryce Brown and this crew has had. But like you mentioned already, Jace, Bryce Brown's going to be a Hall of Fame coach one day. There's no doubt in my mind about what he's done ever since he's been in the New Orleans area. He wants to be there. He wants to help these kids because it's a rough place living there.
Yeah.
I mean, these kids are living in tough neighborhoods. And the reason he's there is to help these kids get out of their current situation and go to someplace where they can be a millionaire. That's what their ultimate goal is, because he said it during signing day whenever all of his kids were signing. He said, I can wear a Florida State shirt, an LSU shirt, a Clemson shirt, or an Edna Carr shirt. I win either or. Whether I win a state championship or not, I win because I get to watch my boys succeed at the next level. And that's what he's doing now. So, and that's just what he's going to do through the rest of his coaching career. And I love what Bryce Brown has done ever since he's been at Edna Carr. And I know that this team is going to continue to still be among one of the best. It was unfinished business. I was shocked that they haven't been since 2020. I thought you'd think with a team that's literally 15, 20 minutes down the road from the Caesar Superdome, and with how dominant and what the legacy they've built over the last 10 years, you would think they'd be in the Superdome just about every year, but they finally get it together. There were obviously the rumors about kids from Arkansas and Mississippi and the recruiting of dudes.
Yeah.
These kids are all New Orleans kids.
Yeah.
And Bryce Brown reiterated that very clearly in his presser today.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like you mentioned, that was a great point. I remember talking to Coach a couple years ago, and he said that, well, Jace, we have a couple championships. Not only the ones on the field, but what you mentioned. Every time a kid signs with a college, that's a championship for us. We take really pride in that, in our academics, in our school, in getting these kids, like you mentioned, out of tough neighborhoods, out of tough situations, and like that's what they want. They want their kids to thrive, and football's been obviously a tool for that. And you gotta give credit to Coach Brown, his whole coaching staff, and yeah, it's special for them to go win a state championship. This is a special football team. Not many weaknesses that I've seen covering this team and calling their game against Catholic, and which proved to be like I gotta say, I'm actually pretty impressed with my Bears. Be honest with you, to have a chance to win that football game on the road in Algiers, yeah, and be 2 points away from winning that game, like that shows you how good the Santa Clara football team is. But yeah, disappointing way to end the weekend, Lucas. I know you were there yesterday as well, but I mean, 2 great days of football. I mean, like 6 great games, and then you come into today and you're thinking, man, these are the games we were looking forward to. I mean, this is what we had circled. This is where everybody was going to go and watch. And to have both these games with a running clock in the fourth quarter, I did not have that on my bingo card today. I just did not.
I didn't expect the air to get taken out of an opponent's side and their fan base literally leave the stadium at halftime and just have the air sucked out of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what happened. I mean, with Ruston now, Ash is a great football team. They are a really good football team. They deserve to be in the state championship. They beat a lot of good teams this year, man.
This was a tough district that they had to play in, too.
Undefeated. They crushed a good Neville team that Central beat 17-13. I mean, they go and beat Ruston, goes in the state championship as well. They beat Destrehan, Washita. Like they went undefeated. Like I spoke with Coach Botman before the season at our media day, and I knew the guys that came. JT Lindsay came to our media day. A couple of the receivers, their linemen. I mean, I was like, Coach, y'all gonna have a squad this year, and I knew this was gonna be a sneaky team that maybe go like 7-3, 8-2 because of their schedule. But they went undefeated in their schedule. You know a lot about this team, and nothing to take away. It was just a bad matchup for Ash, and you can tell they were just a little bit overwhelmed with how good in the car was. But the Ruston game, I just don't know what happened with Ruston. It just seemed like they forgot that it was a game that night, or something was off. But like everything that went wrong, that could possibly go wrong for Ruston, did. And you thought Central was the team coming in for the 3rd straight year in a row, and you thought Ruston was the team that kind of got blinded by the big lights. But it was the other way around, like I just said. But really shocking. I mean, I would have seen a path for Central to actually win the game, but definitely not like that.
No. Yeah. I'll say this, Jace, before we wrap it up, because I got to get to work in about 7 minutes. But going into this game, this is coming from the Central perspective. A lot of people were happy to be there. Yeah. That's what everybody's mindset was. We're happy to be there after 60 years. We're happy to finally be in the Superdome, having never been there before. Everybody talked about how last week was a fluke. Like, they got lucky because of the blocked field goal on a legendary game. That's it. And I talked with Coach Semino after the game, and I talked to him about Central Fight and about how important that is. He installed that about 10 years ago when Coach Sid was there.
Yep.
So he was one of the first guys that on that coaching staff that really pushed what Central Fight is about. And it was the ultimate culmination into what you saw tonight. But it amazes me how even some of the community members didn't believe in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's been "We Believe" posters everywhere, Jace. The community came up together and was backing this team majority of the season. But it felt like that the last 2 weeks it was kind of up and down. Some people believed, a lot of people really didn't. Man, a lot of people are backing this team now, especially on
Oh,
their way back from New Orleans.
oh yeah, there is a party right now. I think the city of Central is not going to be sleeping tonight. I know that for a fact. And David Semino, talk about how hard this is, and he's still a young guy.
Yeah.
He's
Think
led.
about the shoes he had to fill.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a guy that 23 months ago has to fill in a legendary coach that had been there for 15 years in Sid Edwards,
Yeah.
my coach,
Right.
coming off of a 4-6 season, and then in 23 months you've delivered a state championship
Unbelievable.
and really restored hope into this Central community.
Yeah, I mean, from the very start. I mean, just last year, his first year at Central, to defeat Neville in the quarterfinal. I mean, in advance of the quarterfinals, and really should have been a semifinal team last year.
Yeah.
The second year, everybody was the expectations beginning of the year were high because you return all those back. The expectations were good start to the season. They went undefeated. They had that stumble against Catholic, and people were down on them then. And then they finished the season strong again. Then you saw with the offense was spun a little bit, but they found a way to win those games, especially the Neville game with the block field goal. And yeah, I mean, what David Semino has been doing this year has been unbelievable. And a lot of people are asking about why did he leave Catholic? I mean, Catholic, you can win. I mean, there's a guarantee you can win 8-9 games, make the quarterfinals, semifinals at least every single year. But David Semino, he wanted to build something. He said that in the post game press conference. He wanted to build something at Central. Like you mentioned, he was at Central. He wants to build it, and talk about how hard this is to do because he's still a young coach. But he's led 3 different teams to the state championship, and that's really hard to do. 2 of them actually done it from the dome this year. Nick Salformaggio did that. He did that leading East Jefferson, Huntsville, and now Franklinton. And then same for David Semino, Catholic Point Capee, Catholic Baton Rouge, and now Central. And I mean, that's a rare list. I mean, there's not many people that can do that. When you lead 3 different programs to state championships, that's on you. That shows how good of a coach you really are. And David Semino is one of the best coaches out there. I already thought he was already, but this definitely solidified it.
Jace, we're going to go ahead and get out of here, brother. We have reached around the 10 o'clock hour. Guys, thank you for tuning in to the College Football Nightcap. We will be back on Monday. We'll see if we can finish off our state championship recap. Jace may be coming back if he is interested. We may also bring in some other guests as well. Going to have a great week on the College Football Nightcap. Make sure you stay tuned, and guys, we will see you all on Monday.